Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, this is Grog in Prog. I'm going to start bringing my co-hosts on the call. This is Michelle, and let's see who we have first. Hello, you're live on our podcast, our very first podcast.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
How are you? I can hear you just fine, Rob.
I'm fine. Didn't win the lottery for it, so I thought I'd turn up.
Oh, great. Well, thank you for being here. The call has already started, and I did the small intro, and we're just waiting for the rest of the people to join us. But while we're waiting for them, Rob, thank you so much for coming up with this great idea and having this podcast for us to get a chance to get together with some wonderful people and have some exciting guests on and just have a really great time.
Okay.
So I'm hoping other people will be here shortly. I'm not sure. Is there any song or anything I can play in the meantime that you would like?
No.
None of the songs?
Crystal just said call now, so I said yeah.
Great.
So.
Well, great. Well, here she is. Here she is. Great. Yep. Here she is. Hello, Crystal.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
Thanks for being here. Rob is here, and yeah,
breathing in and out.
Good morning, Rob.
Hello.
3 a.m. for Rob. Oh, here's Steve. Let's put Steve on the call.
Yeah, I've got no sense. Me. I'm online.
Hello, Steve. Hello,
Yeah.
Steve.
Hey,
Welcome. We're all here.
Great.
Well, let me make an official introduction of everybody now that we're all here. As I said at the start of the show, this is our pilot or first podcast for Grog in Prog. And my name is Michelle. I'm joined by Rob, Steve, and Crystal. And thank you all for being here. It's very exciting to have some wonderful things to talk about, Prog music and people involved with Prog, and whatever other items we can think of that are related. Now, I know that this was supposed to be our holiday show, and it was going to be done right before Christmas, but, things happen over the holidays, and not everything can be planned out, so we were able to reschedule for today, and we're going to start out the podcast whenever she's ready. Crystal. Yes, Rob.
Michelle.
Yes? Yes, Rob.
I've got Paul Menel on inbox asking when the Skype button comes up.
It should be on there now.
Yes, it should be on there now.
Hey, I'm on the credit, so I won't know. So I'll tell him, I'll let him know that it's on now and we can refresh.
Yeah, I can see it in front of me.
Okay, so, Crystal, I know that you have done a couple of reviews for us, and whenever you're ready,
I did
thank
a
you
little
so
bit
much.
of a review, yeah.
Some exciting music, yes.
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Rob, for sending me the CDs. I know that was time and money out of your pocket, and I really appreciate it.
Well, it's going to be well worth it. Well worth it in the end.
Yeah. So, second thing, actually, the first thing I want to say about the Marillion CDs, I really love the artwork. That just kind of jumped out at me. The artwork of Mark Wilkinson.
So which albums are we talking about here?
We are talking about
Script,
Misplaced Childhood, Script for Jester's Cheer, and Fugazi. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Fugazi, yep.
Okay. Yeah, so
the Fisher
I really like the artwork. That's what I like
Mark
the most.
Wilkinson. Yeah, it's an artist called Mark Wilkinson that does all that artwork. He's superb.
Yeah. Excellent. So, Rob asked me to just kind of go over what I liked about. Did you want me to talk about Palace first, Rob?
No, you really talk about Marillion first, and we'll leave that to second.
Marillion, okay. Well, I will start with my favorite CD, and that is Misplaced Childhood.
Right.
I think my favorite track is track 2, Kaylee. Really nice song.
That's the well-known one.
Yeah. My friend Deborah mentioned that one, and then after I listened to it, it was like, oh yeah, this is really good. So
that's what the non-fans will say. Though you won't get the major fans saying Kaylee.
No.
Right. So with that, once you really get into them, you'll pick up on the longer tracks and get more into them.
Yeah, Kaylee was a massive hit in the UK. It was a number 2 hit.
That probably had the most radio play, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, great song.
And Lavender was also a big hit.
Which one?
Lavender, track 3. That was a big hit.
Lavender, that's what I was going to say. That's my second favorite after that one. I have that one written down for my second favorite. Very good. They seem to have sort of a rock opera feel to me. Does anybody else feel that way?
Well, it is. It's a concept album.
That's what basically, I was going to ask. I actually have that written in my notes.
Yeah, it's Fish who's the vocalist and lyric writer. It's basically all about his life. There's bits that are obvious and bits that are less obvious, but it all dovetails in. And the more you know about him, the more you get out of the album.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of the feel that I got. That they were concept albums. Are all 3 of these?
Well, no, just that one. Just that one.
Oh,
the other 2 aren't
okay.
Concept albums, no.
Okay, I was wondering because Bugatti has disc 1 and disc 2. It's a little bit longer, but maybe it's just because it has a different mix.
Well, disc 2 is just all the bonus tracks and things. The original is just one album.
Okay. Yeah. So I really like track 6 as well, Waterhole.
Waterhole, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great song. Great song. And the last one, White Feather, is probably my favorite one off of that album.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah. One interesting fact about that album that some people might not get is that the track Milo on side or the old side 2, whereas I remember Toronto when Milo went down and an interviewer threatened me with a microphone. Milo is a guy who was in a band called Rage, who used to play with Marillion quite a bit, a band from Liverpool, and he was the drummer, and I believe he was the drummer, and he died, and it affected Fish quite deeply when he died. So that's the thing about when Milo went down. It's basically when he died, and it's like not wanting to be bothered, but people are shoving microphones in his face, and so that's where that lyric comes from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thank God we got you on. Thank God we got you on here doing that, because I didn't know that even. So.
All right. I think his name was Dave Milett, something like that. But yeah, that's who he was.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so the second, the script for Jester's Tear is my second CD review. Track 2, He Knows You Know. It's a pretty interesting song.
Yeah, another hit single.
Yeah.
It's a smaller hit,
really.
but the first hit, actually.
Very, very dark
Is this
song.
the first?
Yeah.
What is their first album?
That is their first album.
This is the first one? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it is.
Yeah, I really like that one. And then track 6, Forgotten
Forgotten
Songs.
Songs,
It's probably the least of my favorite CDs out of the 3. But I like those 2 tracks.
Yeah, the thing with that album is I still, as a fan going back to the early days from before they released that album, that album for me has my favourite material, but it's not recorded as well. The production's not that good, and they weren't quite as comfortable in the studio. And I think it shows on that. I think if they'd recorded that material a couple of years later, it would have been a lot better.
I see. Yeah, but it's it's pretty good. Overall, I liked all of it. Okay, so Fugazi, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yes, you are. I think it was Korean or North Korean slang for Vietnamese for the Vietnam War, wasn't it? Fugazi is like all effed up. It was it's sort of like slang for that. It's totally Fugazi, means totally.
Wow.
Totally.
It's got a mention on the title track about Vietnamese style.
You're right. Yeah. And so this world is
Okay.
totally Fugazi.
So track 3, Jigsaw. Enjoyed that one.
Great track. Superb track.
Yeah, if you guys, I honestly don't know much about, what the songs are about. The lyrics are really interesting. Rob pointed out one time that they're very poetic, which they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very interesting. If you guys know anything,
That's the racist in rock as far as I'm concerned. But he was given a hard time in the 80s by the media, very hard time. But as far as I'm concerned, best lyricist there is in rock.
Oh, yes, absolutely superb. Interestingly, one of Rob probably knows this, but one of the tracks on the album, She Chameleon, dates way back to before the first album. It was in Marillions' repertoire, 1981-82, but with completely different music. They actually dropped it from.
I've got
got a bootleg with the
original. The rehearsal tape.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I've got that, and there's a lot of songs on that that turn into different songs.
Yeah, Haunting a Hill House and things like that. Yeah, but She Chameleon.
I think Forgotten Sons was one of them, wasn't it? Forgotten Sons was something else, and
it was. Yeah.
I'm sure Forgotten Sons was something else. Smell Angel. There was Smell Angel. I'm sure that might have been part of that.
Yeah, but the track She Chameleon itself, the music from the original was very, very different. It was quite upbeat, quite Genesis-y in a way, but it got dropped and the music got scrapped for some reason. But then they reactivated the lyrics with totally different music when they recorded Fugazi, which is a strange thing to do. But I like both versions, but the original never got a release.
Yeah,
I got a girlfriend I got a former girlfriend who gave me the tape. She just gave me just like that.
Yeah.
I had a little bit of a harder time with that one. It didn't really reach out and grab me like some of the others.
It's possibly a harder album to
quite
get
different.
into.
Yeah, quite different.
Yeah,
the title track, Fugazi, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Cinderella Search is good.
Oh, Cinderella Search is brilliant. That wasn't on the original album.
Yeah, we're going into that. We're playing that actually after we talked about we're going to play that.
It was actually the B-side to the single Assassin.
Yeah.
And so Assassin, I like the alternate mix better than the first one. That one has a great intro. I love the intro to that one. It's a great beat. Incubus, great song. So that's pretty much my review on Merlin.
Okay, I believe at this point we're going to play Cinderella Search and give people a taste.
I'd just like to say before you do, Michelle, we might have a problem with Paul. He's telling me that he's taking him to register or sign in. I told him to sign in, but he said he's got a Skype account.
He should be able to. No, it's not your Skype account. If he just clicks the Facebook icon which says sign in, you can log in through Facebook and it'll take you straight in. I have to do that.
Let me go ahead and play the song while you guys work on
I
that.
think that's a good idea. Yeah.
So this is Cinderella Search by Marillion. Here we go.
Fumbling all the lines, the light at the end of the bottle, alcoholic alphabet through the looking glass, the proof of my own reflection, 5 senses down and reeling on the Cinderella search, on the rebound. Fumbling all the lines, decay on the vertical hole, with a horizontal conversation, needs translation, 3 dimensions down, reeling on the Cinderella search, Cinderella search, Cinderella search. Rocking all the lines, dreaming bartenders, bourbon and saxophone, and a lot kind of charm of the game rejection in cigarette series, only caught in the homing of direction on the Cinderella search, Cinderella search.
Dedicated to all the people who take Polaroid photographs of their girlfriend or boyfriend. These toys were absolutely designed for the bedroom. The problem, you don't have to go through the laboratories to get the film developed. This is a song about when the boy and the girl split up, and in the bottom drawer there are always the Polaroid photographs. This is the nightmare of the return of the missing pornographic photograph. These are heist incubus.
Okay, so that was Cinderella's Search. And Crystal, I know that you
I don't know if Steve wanted to, I don't know if, Michelle, I don't know if Steve wanted to, he said he wanted to talk about because he was there on that tour.
Okay,
so if he wants to add anything to that.
I certainly was, yes. In fact, I went to that particular tour when they were touring for Fugazi twice. I saw them at Liverpool and at Manchester. That was actually the first tour when they moved Forgotten Sons from the traditional set closer to the encore. And in fact, after that, it got shuffled out of the set after that tour, which was a great shame to me because it was a fantastic live number. But they were still absolutely superb at that time, and every show was a little bit different. I mean, the very first time I saw them was in early 1982 at the Marquee in London, which was like a year before the first album. They didn't have a record contract at that time, but it was incredible because the Marquee is a small club. It's just I mean, it was a famous club. Everybody played at the Marquee, but it only held about 300 people, 350, and when I saw them that first time in early 82, it wasn't full. There were maybe 200, 250 people in, and the show was astonishing. And there was such a buzz about them at the time, and everybody was like, "Oh, I've got to tell people about this." And when I went to the next time I saw them, which was only 4 months later, I got there and there was a queue down the street. I managed to get in, but hundreds of people were locked out. And it was absolutely packed in there, and that was in the space of 4 months. And within 8 months after that, they'd recorded the album and sold out 2 nights at the Hammersmith Odeon, which held 5,000, which is an incredible rise for a band in a year. It's just there was such a momentum behind them at that time. It was inevitable they were going to get big.
I think the Marquee was instrumental right behind all that. The Marquee residency.
Although it didn't work for everyone, because I saw Palace and Pendragon as well at the Marquee and Solstice, and while they had obviously success, none of it compared to Marillion. Marillion were they were always like one step above everyone else. Good as the others were, Marillion they were obviously, market leaders, if you like. And it was just obvious from seeing them at that time. It was so obvious they were going to be big. I've never seen a band like it where you just knew. And of course,
they were on a local news show over here. That's before they were really big, and they were at Rock City, I think it was. And they were on Selected Disc on Market Street, and that was before they hit the charts.
Yeah,
I remember that. Still remember to this day.
Yeah, indeed. Within another 2 years from the first album coming out, they actually headlined a huge UK open-air venue called the Milton Keynes Bowl, which held it must have held 100,000 people, and they headlined an all-day event there called the Marillion Garden Party, where, if memory serves me right, I think Jethro Tull were on the same bill. I think Gary Moore, possibly, and so they'd gone from playing small clubs to headlining a field, within 3 years, which is absolutely incredible.
Didn't they do Abbey with Jethro? It was an Abbey.
Oh,
Abbey.
Nostell Priory. You're thinking of the Nostell Priory Festival. Yeah. That was the year before the Garden Party. Yeah, I went to that one. That's when they had Jethro Tull supporting them that night, and the reason they did that was because they appeared as support to Jethro Tull at a festival the year before, and then their star had ascended so much that they had overtaken them, become bigger, and they invited Jethro Tull to support them as returning the compliment, which is quite amazing.
Yeah. I'm the worst.
That's really
anyway,
great.
I just like butting here, we got Paul that's got major problems with him. We got his mobile, can't say it on air, of course.
Yeah.
But someone wants to call him and get this sorted out. He said he's given permission to call him.
I'll give him a call and see if I can sort it out with him.
And
if I can't get him in,
talk about Paris.
Yeah, if he can't get in on that, maybe he can dial directly in. But
perfect.
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, I'm not using it the way you're using, so you better tell him, because I'm not.
I'm not. I haven't had the problems that he's apparently having, so whether I can help, I don't know, but I'll give it a go.
Great.
Okay,
so,
I'll get back to you in a minute.
Okay, great. Crystal, do you want to talk to us a bit about Palace?
Sure. I actually don't have a whole lot written down about Palace.
That's okay.
I did listen to the whole thing a couple of times. It's a pretty interesting group. The first track I really, really liked. The very beginning of the song. Rob, what is the name of the first song on that album?
On the what?
Because you sent me a recorded disc, so I didn't have the titles of any of the songs.
I haven't played it for a while, so.
Okay, it starts out. It has sort of a YYZ feel to it by Rush, which I really, really like. Obviously, Rob and I kind of hit it off friendship-wise because of our love for Rush, so it sounded a lot like that to me. Pretty good. Yeah, I liked it. Like I said, I don't have a whole lot written down for Palace.
That's okay. That's okay. So Rob.
So the one thing with that album, I feel it's still a very accessible album to this day. You put it on and you swear it could have been made like last week.
Palace.
You get what I mean?
Palace
very
music?
accessible album. Yeah, very accessible album to this day, 30 years later.
So Rob, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Wedge Before Wedge. Is that the song?
Oh yeah. We'll get onto that when we get Paul Menel on.
Okay, because you had asked me to play Imagination, but I don't see that on the list here.
Well, it should be.
It's not.
Remember, I've got them under different names. I know,
that's why I'm asking you. That's why I said Wedge Before Wedge. Is that the song?
No. Hang on. No, that's a little link I've got. Tell me what you got there.
I've got Coup to get Dave to guest. Don't panic if we don't get Paul to guest. And then I know for Crystal's sake, and then we just played Cinderella Search. And then Wedge Before Wedge and Wood for the Wood.
Yeah, we have got it. Yeah, that's what I did call it. I called it
just said.
I called it Wedge Switch. Yeah.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, so now for your listening enjoyment, here's some Palace for you. Here you go.
I'd just like to say that's why I said Wedge for Wedge, because Wedge is a nickname for the keyboardist in IQ, Martin Orford. So get it, Wedge for Wedge. Sorry?
Well, we have our call.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing?
Hello.
We're going to do the IQ.
Good evening. Thank you for calling in. So sorry you were having
problems
with Skype.
No problem. Sorry about the problems I've been having experience in getting through. But we speak now. That was a very hectic 40 minutes. And we're trying to get
I'm so sorry about that.
No.
Thank you for your diligence, sir.
Don't worry about it. That's absolutely fine. How's things?
Things are very good. I'm Michelle, and I'm here with Steve and Rob and Crystal. Okay. We're so excited to have you on our show.
Oh, that's great. It's very kind of you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Okay, everybody, I'm very excited to introduce our guest, and Steve, and we'll just let you kind of take it from here. So here we go.
Hiya, Paul, just a bit of a chat, obviously, about, your days with IQ. People want to know about that, but first of all, before we get to that, there's your solo career that you're sort of, you're actively pursuing at the moment. Yeah. I mean, I saw you when you appeared at on the Summer's End Festival. Was it about 3 years ago now?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good fun. I dragged Martin Orford out of the vaults.
That's right.
And put him behind the keyboard for the first time in a little while. It was great hooking up with him. And it was good. It was obviously that was the Paul Menel band, and it seemed like a good, obviously the 25th anniversary of Noms Armo, which was an album that really introduced IQ to people across the world, really, for the first time. Obviously, first album on a major. Yeah. So I really wanted to. Obviously, I'd left it 3 or 4, 5 years later, but obviously. There's some of the things on there. When I decided that I wanted to sort of start a band back up and start playing live again, it just seemed an obvious choice to obviously play some of those songs. So I kind of based it around Noms Armo 25. And it was great fun. It was got some great reviews, etc., etc. And obviously wanted to kind of kick on from that. But unfortunately, the Paul Menel band's kind of imploded for various reasons, which I don't really want to go into on here. And so, unfortunately, the idea of doing a 25th sort of anniversary sort of tour for IC didn't come through and never sort of happened, which was a real shame because some of the songs on there, again, on that album, which was obviously sold a lot more copies, etc., etc. It spawned our sort of first, I suppose, radio hit, really, or commercial success in Britain, anyway. Sold on You. It's a shame that I wasn't sort of able to sort of take some of those songs on the road as well, but it wasn't to be. So. You were trying to get your own material out there as well, because I think you had the Great Outdoors album around that time, didn't you? Yeah, absolutely. I was, and it kind of worked to a certain degree. With the benefit of hindsight, I think what I should have done is just is probably not relied as heavily on the kind of IQ thing, because really what I wanted to do was kind of say, well, that's what I'm doing. That's what I was doing then, and I'm still here. I can still sing a little bit and ponce around on stage. That was quite good from that point of view. But the downside of it was sometimes you can't really get rid of those. It's kind of a real shackle, really, as well, because people kind of obviously love you for that time and those kind of songs. But time has moved on, and obviously.
I think your solo material. Yeah, your solo material is a lot. Your solo material is a lot more song-based and a lot less prog, isn't it? So if people come along to a gig to hear IQ, they're not going to be so readily accessible to your own material, really. So
absolutely, if that's what they want to see, sort of solely, and I'm really perfectly clear that that's really not what it was about. It was about introducing my stuff, as well as keeping pace with obviously those kind of older opinions. That really wasn't a problem. But when it kind of, let's say, hindsight, 20/20 vision and all that, possibly wouldn't have had it as kind of heavily weighted towards the kind of IQ stuff.
Yeah.
But having said that, hey ho! I mean, here we are now. I mean, it was fantastic. It's introduced me again to some fans that I hadn't spoke to or heard from for years. And it's really pleasing that some of those songs from my couple of albums with the band are still so highly thought of and respected, especially lyrically. I get loads of comments on Facebook and personal messages and stuff saying how that it's like it's a signature tune for growing up sometimes, isn't it, music? And I think people could still relate to it, especially Common Ground. I mean, I had so many messages back in November about Common Ground when we posted that back up. So fantastic times, really, really good times. Yeah,
well, I mean, going back to like when you first joined IQ. I mean, how did you come to actually get the gig? Presumably you had to audition and that. Did you have to sort of apply for the job, or did they approach you?
No, I applied. I just saw an advert. I think it might be Melody Maker or NME or Sounds or something. Remember those old broadsheets? They used to be back in the 1800s. I think that's really what it was, and I auditioned and got it. I mean, I'd heard of the band before, obviously. I'd sort of been in and out of bands since the age of sort of 13 up in Yorkshire, and I knew that it was in my blood. I really wanted to go and do something with a band who, I thought were going places, and I'd heard of IQ. They sent me the albums and stuff through, and I really liked it. I could really see the potential in the band. I thought could see they were going. Well, I thought potentially they were, they were going places, and I was kind of engaged. It wasn't engaging sound. It was different. The whole thing about it I really liked.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of a. It seems to me there was a little bit of a conscious attempt by the band to move the sound on a little bit, to coincide with you joining, because it became, to me, not so much more commercial or anything, but a little bit of an attempt to be more contemporary, and there was perhaps a little bit more cold and clinical.
Absolutely right, Steve. I mean, I think sometimes I kind of got the. Yeah, I sometimes afterwards. I think I took a little bit of stick for something that really wasn't all my doing. There was a commercial sort of bent towards the band and leaning, especially from Martin, because it was obviously the main songwriter anyway, and he's got an incredible melodic sense about him, and there definitely was. And I think they realised that Pete's obviously lyrically and stuff, and technically vocally. I think they wanted someone who could possibly do just a little bit more. I think sometimes it's always sort of seen that sort of Paul Menel turned them commercial. Really wasn't that. I mean, I just gave them we was a kind of bit of a melding of minds when I met Martin. I think we were all on the same when, and Tim as well. Yeah. Tim was very much into more sort of slightly more commercial bands.
You're a victim. You're a victim in a way of the Phil Collins Kill Genesis syndrome, weren't you? when it really wasn't him. There was three of them that decided to take the music in that direction, but he somehow gets all the blame heaped on him. Which,
not the first time I've been compared to Phil Collins, Steve, so I do forgive you. but
not financially.
But yeah, I guess so. That's the classic analogy, isn't it? Bizarrely, I think. I've comments over the years have been that my voice actually sounds a lot more like Peter Gabriel than Peter Gabriel does sometimes, which I can't really help that either. But it was. I think it was definitely it was definitely a move within the band that wanted to kind of go that way. And obviously that was reflected when, obviously on the second album, we used Terry Brown to produce I Used to Sing Comfortably. We just did a massive hit with Cutting Crew. I Was Dying Your Arms Tonight and stuff.
There's definitely that sort of contemporary sound in there. And of course the trouble is with any band that tried to sound up to the minute and contemporary in the 80s now sounds horrendously dated. It's the most dated sound, isn't it, that era? Yeah, the gated drums and the
absolutely, the lexicon everywhere. You've got it. I mean, it was just like that huge compression that went everywhere. I think what I did what I think set a lot of bands apart from in the 80s or some of that stuff was, I think Terry Brown as a producer is superb though. I do listen back to, and I've on several occasions fairly recently actually, to I Sitting Comfortably, and I still think the production of that album is superb, and it does stand up to with an awful lot of sort of modern day tracks, modern day sort of sounds and production techniques, and it sounds really well against them. And we were kind of, it was a great mix of that classic sort of progressive rock stuff, like Rush, you got the kind of longer songs and the slightly shorter songs as well. And I thought that it was an absolute perfect blend of, a band who obviously had their feet in sort of progressive rock, if I may say that, but their heads were sort of, were kind of we were looking for other things to keep. At the end of the day, it's got to be commercially viable. I mean, it's all very well being art rock, and playing to 300 people, but we didn't really want to do that. And once we did a couple of festivals, we were supporting like Foreigner and Starship, 35,000 people there. There's still something on YouTube, isn't there? There's a gig there. Jethro told Ronnie Wood, for God's sake, we started moving in those kind of circles, and thought, well, we've scratched the surface here. This is the album that's really going to break us. And as I say, Sold on You was Radio 1 Record of the Week, and we just thought it's just a matter of time. And then, of course, that's really when the band kind of fell apart, because suddenly they kind of wanted to ditch the commercial leanings. I think there were lots of, I think there's lots of whispering going on in the background, which I wasn't kind of aware of. Regarding, let's get back to our progressive roots and ditch all that kind of airy-fairy nonsense and go back to where which was exactly what they did. And I wanted to be progressive rock, not regressive rock. So that's so we started.
They went even further in that direction, didn't they? Because they did Subterranea, for example, which was a double concept album, which that's about as prog as you can get.
To be honest, I think that absolutely, I completely agree. But you've got to play. You've got to put your heart into something, and their heart wasn't, especially Mike's. I don't think his heart wasn't into going any further than we'd gone from a commercial aspect. But my someone was, because we were, you could just smell the success basically. The record company were obviously very much behind us then. They hadn't been the first album. On the Noms Armour album, Promises was what they call it was a huge radio hit in Germany when we were touring over there. But it was in the days long before MP3s, etc., etc. And they physically did not get the product on the shelves, so people were going out trying to buy the song and couldn't buy it. They couldn't get it anywhere, and that really shocked Phonogram. And what actually happened was it was played so many times on radio, but obviously we didn't sell that many units because it wasn't there to sell, because we were promoting it at that stage. So,
but the songs now that get looked back on with the most respect and the most affection are the longer tracks and the less commercial ones, like you mentioned before, Common Ground, that's a superb song, lyrically and musically. That's an absolutely brilliant song.
I've said that there's a few times that we had a few troughs in the band, but there were some great peaks, and I think that Common Ground was definitely one of the peaks. Nothing at All Again was a favourite of mine from from the second album, but Common Ground is still cited, and obviously it's something next year I'm very aware of. It's the 100th anniversary. I mean, war history is something that's very big in my sort of in my world, and so I was very proud of those lyrics. It just happened to come along. We were in rehearsals, writing a few bits and pieces, and Mike came out with a guitar riff, and I took it away with me, played around with the music and stuff, and just so happened it was that kind of time of the year anyway. And just the lyrics just came. I'd read an article, and I was reading lots of books and stuff, and about the July the 1st, 1916, and the Battle of the Somme, and it was just it just came, and I'm incredibly proud of that proud of that that song. And the music, the music at the end is just dynamite. It's superb. It's a band, for me, really, again, as I said, at their peak. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, very similar to Fish there in a way, because if you heard the stuff on his last album, he's got a mini war suite in there that's superb, and he's really interested in all that World War I stuff. You know, he's been over there and seen the battlefields and everything. He's really into it, and it is fascinating. And it makes, it not to trivialise it, but it makes great lyrical subject matter, doesn't it? Because it's so
absolutely. I mean, there's so many of the, obviously, look at the war poetry that Sassoon and Wilfred Owen and lots of those people, and it's astonishing. And they were actually there. I mean, I'm kind of just, I think when Fish and myself and whoever writes about these things, we weren't really there, and we're just kind of reflecting it. But it's great to be mindful. Or it's important to be mindful of it, and as I am, because I want to go over there to some of the on some of the war trails next year, because it's the 100th anniversary of the Battle of the Somme next year in July.
That's right. Yeah.
So it is something that, from bringing it sort of full circle, almost back to sort of my solo stuff. It's something that I want to kind of do another tribute to that. And my take on Common Ground. So I will be releasing something next year later this year, with that in mind. So I say it's next year. It's obviously 2016 now. It's this year, isn't it?
This year. Yeah. That sounds good. Well, I mean, as well as that, I mean, talk about subject matter. I mean, you've got the title track "Non Zamo." Now, I think I'm right in saying, wasn't that Winnie Mandela's nickname? And that's
it's a tribal name. It's actually what she was bought. She's called Winifred Nomzamo Mandela.
That's the middle name. I knew something to do with
Mandela, but that was it's the Xhosa tribe. It literally means from as I put in the lyrics in the song, it does mean one who will suffer many trials. And of course, latterly, now we found that she's not as nice a person as we thought she was.
No.
She did end up suffering some trials, But again,
kind of
that was the kind of thing. It was the kind of thing. The anti-apartheid thing was something that was quite that I was quite moved by as well. And there's a couple of tracks on that album were about that. So it had some sort of political content lyrically, I suppose, rather than some. I get a complete difference to a different tack on what Pete Nichols was doing with the band. I think they're probably very personal lyrics, and I really like them. Because, I mean, you kind of get lost in Pete's lyrics. Sometimes you're not entirely sure what he means, or whether they mean anything, or whatever, which is quite a nice little trait. I'm a little bit more direct.
You like to tell a story a bit more, don't you?
I do. Yeah. For my sins. Yeah, I enjoy doing that, because I enjoy trying to be succinct, but also kind of quite, if possible, prophetic within a sort of constraint of a short song, or within a long song as well. Sometimes on long songs, though, you kind of get a bit, no, what am I going to put? I don't like things that repeat. So I think, I've already said that, so what? I need to kind of, if I'm not engaged, I don't think an audience is engaged.
Yeah.
So I like to keep things kind of short and sweet, and once it's been said, that's it.
Obviously, the longest track that you did in your tenure with the band was, I think, Human Nature, wasn't it? Which was almost 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Which again has got some good. It's got some nice little. Well, I think some fantastic. I mean, it is one of the most popular IQ songs. I think it's one that still shout out IQ gigs for it, and obviously we did it with Paul Mail Band a few times. It's a great piece of classic progressive rock.
Yeah.
It's got the nice melodic shifts and time signatures and stuff, which is obviously IQ's sort of forte. And but I don't think it was a conscious decision just to make a 10-minute song. I think what we did was, I think we had about 3 or 4 different ideas, and we somehow sort of tried to dovetail them all together. Whether it works or not, that's in the ear of the beholder. But I think it worked fairly well.
I think many would agree with you there. Without it's a very popular song.
Just putting in, I play Human Nature. I play Human Nature every single day.
Right.
What was that? I missed that. What was that? Human Nature what?
Every single day I play Human Nature.
Every single day you play Human Nature?
That's your anthem.
Yeah.
Anthem,
Oh,
Rob.
fantastic. Well,
I wouldn't go that far.
I'm sure that it's nice to hear that it's still after all this time. Well, it was 1987, so that's we're talking about a long time. So brilliant. Well, let's hope some of my new stuff you'll play that every day as well. But, I think again it's that whole nostalgic trip, isn't it? Really, it's and as I said earlier, it's a soundtrack to your youth, where you were, that kind of thing. All those things go through your mind when you listen to a track. And I think that is one that for some reason I don't know why, but I'm probably a bit too close to it. But it's for some reason it is a song that people really picked up on and just taken to their hearts.
Well, I've got to confess to playing Human Nature about once every 10 years, but
that sounds more realistic.
It's in your head, though, Steve, right?
Yeah.
You play it over and over in your head.
Oh, of course. Obviously, it's in my mental jukebox all the time.
Oh, sure. You've got to say that, haven't you? Now I'm on air. As soon as I get up there,
obviously, moving on to, as you said, the second album, you sit comfortably with it, with that that bizarre sleeve with the electric chair, which is
the man in the electric. It was again just bizarre coincidence. We'd got a photographer, or the record company introduced us to a photographer who seemed like a really nice guy, and he'd been working on some sort of film set. And he said, "Do you want to come down and think about this design or whatever?" And we kind of looked at it with all the lights on and some looks a bit weird. What's that all about? And turned the lights off and put all these fiber optics and stuff on it, and it just went, shit, yeah, that's top drawer. And he was thinking, we were kind of, so they went down the route of, the Are You Sitting Comfortably, because obviously he'd listened to the first album and obviously the demos for the second and picked up on, as what you said. There's like little stories within songs. So the whole idea, Are You Sitting Comfortably, is like Watch With Mother, isn't it? When we were growing up, that sort of story time for kids on radio. And so we kind of based it on that. So that's who it is, that dude in the chair, whoever he is. Doesn't look like he's that comfortable, really.
Not that comfortable, no.
No. Hopefully, listening to the album, you're a bit more comfortable than what he looks.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. It didn't reflect your position in the band at the time.
I think that would have been a real electric chair.
Yeah.
No. I'm thinking of the wrong picture here. No, we had a great time. We were great friends. We just had musical differences at the end. I mean, during this, it was the best times of my life. As I say, we were touring and supporting some great bands. But the whole, it obviously peaked with the Mike and the Mechanics tour, which was astonishingly good. I think we were the best then. That's when were the best, because we kind of got all the teething problems out of the way. From obviously that. You always find, I think, when you come into a band, even though they weren't really successful per se, but they had a cult following. They were doing sort of relatively small residencies at the Marquee, but obviously we carried on doing that. We did 3 nights down there. I obviously heard earlier about talking about the Marquee, which brought back fond memories for me as well. When William played there, but I think at the stage on the Mike and the Mechanics tour, we'd moved on 3 or 4 years, and we were getting big audience. We were supporting people where we were playing the big Manchester Apollo and all these kind of places. So it was kind of that again, that moving from being a relatively small band up to being a festival band, and it being noticed. We did when we did the festivals. It was in between the recording and the mixing of Are You Sitting Comfortably. We went and did 3 festivals in Switzerland and Germany, where we supported Foreigner and Jeff O'Toole, on the bills, Ronnie Wood. Physically, we were playing, and I think we started about sort of 12 o'clock or 11 o'clock in the morning, and sort of halfway through the sort of 45-minute set, I kind of looked stage left, and Ronnie Wood staring straight across, looking at me. And I thought, shit, it's Ronnie Wood. It's Ronnie Wood. And Unbelievable. It really was one of those moments. Oh God, we're kind of we're moving in good circles here.
Yeah.
And afterwards, we kind of end up in like a green room backstage. And he walked into the tent, and we were all kind of standing there. God, he's coming towards us. What are we going to say? Trying not to go all girly and start, fluttering your eyelashes at him. And he came up and he said, "Those are for you." And he bought us 5 bottles of Jack Daniels, just lined them up in front of us each. And he said that was an absolutely astonishing set you guys are going to go for. And that was great. One of the little moments, the little free songs that you kind of get sometimes, and you think, oh God, it's happening. So we kind of moved from, as I said, in the marquee stuff, which were great gigs anyway. And obviously, you can see the front row, and you can taste the sweat basically coming from the audience to like a big festival. As I said, it was great. It really was good. And I think on the Mike and Mechanics tour, we had ironed out an awful lot of the glitches and stuff, and I think the sound was really, really good live, especially. We were playing more like a rock band and not relying too heavily on that tour, on backing tracks and stuff like that. We were just going out and doing it. And but one of my favourite times in IQ.
Yeah. Well, one of the songs I really wanted to just ask you about on Are You Sitting Comfortably is Orange, the other long track. Now, the story was at the time was to do with the Terry Brown thing, but it's an anagram for New Rush. What's the kind of the story behind that? Because it doesn't seem to have any bearing on the lyrics, and it's kind of weird.
Yeah, well, lyrically, or the
title of it was just like an in-joke.
It is. It is just that. We just couldn't think of a title. It was a working title because we thought that it kind of sounded a little bit like Rush. This was before Terry Brown. That's a coincidence that obviously he was the Rush producer and stuff, but the track was in it's pretty much being conceived by the time Terry came along, to be honest. But it just reminded us of that band. So that's how we just call it. And boringly enough, we couldn't think of it. We were so lazy, don't think of another title, so we just did an anagram. I thought, that didn't take long for people to suss it, especially when they were stealing set lists from the stage, and it still said New Rush on there. Before we'd even called it Orange, when it was like a working title when we started playing it live, it was still called New Rush then, and then it became Orange.
Yeah. Well, so after you left IQ, obviously there was a long time when you just disappeared off the radar. Did you just basically pack in the business?
I just had enough for a while. I just wanted a bit of a rest. And there were a few sort of things that came back to me, and it was an amicable parting. Myself and Tim left. We were going to do some stuff together because we were kind of both at that stage. I think we were fairly like-minded. The direction that we wanted to go in. We kind of tasted a little bit of that commercial sort of success, and wanted to try to go down that route a little bit more and explore different sort of avenues for that. It didn't really work out with Tim. His heart wasn't in it. I think when he got married, and whatever, and moved out the area basically. And I think at that stage I thought, well, I was still, I suppose, relatively young. So I joined IQ and I was like 22 or whatever, and we tasted quite a lot in a relatively short amount of time. And I think I got frustrated with we'd obviously gone into rehearsals it was a 2-album deal, and potentially obviously the rehearsals were hopefully going to be spawning new ideas for a potential 3rd album. But I really didn't like some of the stuff that IQ were presenting. It became very, very obvious then that they were going back to going back to their roots. So I left it when I did. But sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to say, just quickly before we have to wrap things up. Obviously, your latest album you just put out, Into Insignificance, I Shall Pay.
The last album was a couple of years ago, Into Insignificance, I Will Pay.
It's a couple of years now, it seems like 5 minutes ago that came out.
Right. Yeah, it is. It's a couple of years. My new album's coming out this year in about just over a month's time. We're just literally finishing off the packaging, and I'm putting this one out on vinyl as well, which I'm really pleased about. Got a new company called 3M's which not the tape company. This is a management company, started distribution. Some guys there linked in with Gav Monaghan, my producer, who does like Robert Plant and loads of sort of big names. Well, the Twang, because they've got Sherlock in the mix as well. Yeah. So he's kind of linked in with them as well, and they're going to be sort of marketing me and doing the push, which I'm really pleased. I'm not a record company per se. I've got a lot more say in it than a standard signed artist would have, but I'm really looking forward to this. The new album is called Spare Parts of Broken Hearts. But yeah, it was 3 years ago into Insignificance. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember thinking, when you're trying to get yourself re-established after years in the wilderness, it seems kind of ironic to put out an album called saying that I'll pale into insignificance. Well, you try to do the opposite kind of thing. It was
why I called it that.
Intentional. Yeah, I did wonder that. I did wonder if.
Yes, it was that kind of cockiness snoot really at them. I think a lot of people were a little bit surprised that I'd kind of come back, and I had a few comments. And I did try to kind of re-establish some sort of. I put the feelers out to some of the old, the IQ guys. I went to see them at the Islington, one of their Christmas bashes, whatever it was, just before the album, or when I was starting to tour, actually, that record, and put feelers out to say, do you fancy doing some guests, and I got what they call a kiss off. So that was fine. I think they were a bit surprised that I'd actually come back after all this time, but I've still felt like I've never stopped writing. When I left IQ, I kind of, as I say, with the whole Tim thing flopped. I just, I went away and I grew a family. I settled down a little bit. I put down some roots. Never stopped writing. I did form a band called The Great Outdoors. Did a few little bits and pieces with them, and I'm still recording an album, which I've still got on the back burner, which I will be sort of bringing it out hopefully towards the end of this year properly, retrospectively, which is stuff obviously from that kind of time, 1994, 95, which has got some good music and I think some really good songs. But again, that's got to go to a stage where we were thinking about doing some proper touring and stuff, and again, my heart really wasn't in it because my children were very young then, and I thought I don't really want to be doing it. But I think then, and once the kids had got a little bit older, that's when my spark. I think when Facebook came out and all that kind of stuff, and the whole social media, and my kids come back from school and say, "Actually, Dad, you've actually done quite a bit of music, haven't you?" Yeah, well, yeah. So they were kind of playing me my songs, which had been sort of, probably all IQ stuff, which had been kind of gathering dust on vinyl for quite a few years. And I think that kind of, actually, it was good. I do really miss it, and that's why I really came back. And I think that Into Insignificance, that was my way of saying, well, I'm not gone away. I mean, I've been around, just not in these circles.
Yeah. So. Well, I'm just getting the sort of like the throat cutting motions at the moment. Because it's short, because of things to fit in. I think I'll just push on to Rob. I think he wants to ask you one question before we wrap things up. But it's really cool. Really cool, mate.
Yeah. It's Rob who's been pestering you on Facebook.
I know, Rob. I know. Yeah. This good-looking guy following me on Facebook. What's going on? How can I help you, Rob? Go on.
Anyway, so just a fun question, because I'm not the pro that Steve is. Before you came on, we were talking about Palace. I don't know if you know the Caledonian Prog act. Palace.
Oh, Palace? Yeah. Jeff Banks is old, yeah. My friend Jeff Banks who died recently.
I just wondered if, you ever thought of doing a project called Paulus, or Paul Does Palace.
Paulus the Wooden Home.
Paulus the Wooden Home.
In a word, no.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Can you remember Paulus the Wooden Home?
I can. I'm old enough.
Oh, you can see. There you go.
Yeah.
Top trump. Yeah. It's a real scary animated cartoon series. Really scary. If you watch it back now, it's frightening.
Yeah.
But I can still sing the theme tune now too. So I used to love it. But no, I've got no intention of joining Palace and calling a band Paulus. No. Are you done?
If you did, Rob would listen to it every day.
Oh, every day. Well, okay, then maybe I'll get in touch with the guys. Yeah, maybe it's a possibility.
Steve would listen to it every day in his head.
Fantastic talking to you guys.
Thank you so much, Mr. Menel. It's been such an honor having you on the podcast. This is our first podcast, and Rob has been working tirelessly, and we have a really great team of co-hosts here. I'm really happy and proud to be sharing the show with, and really we're just so honored that you took the time to stay up so late in the middle of the night and call in and be a part of our show. Thank you, sir.
It's been worth every minute. Thanks ever so much for having me on, and I hope to come on again maybe later in the year and talk about some of my new stuff.
Please, and talk about your new album. That would be fantastic.
Absolutely, not a problem. Okay, guys, have a good... what time is it where you are?
It is 8:15 p.m. lost time.
Right, okay, same here. Okay, I shall try to get some sleep now. Okay, you take care. It's been fantastic speaking to you. Cheers, guys.
It's been fantastic here as well. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yes.
Wow, that was great. We have our next person on hold, and I'm sorry to have been keeping them on hold, so I don't want to take any more time.
Did we not want to play the IQ track?
I think we should
have
probably
our
get
next
Dave.
Caller.
Dave
yes, we'll have to do it at the end, Rob.
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, I believe we have Dave on the line. Is this Dave?
I am here, yes.
Hello, thank you for your patience, sir. I'm so sorry you had to wait. Our call was going a little bit longer, and I hated to keep you on hold, but I appreciate your patience with us.
No, it's absolutely fine. If you want to play the IQ track, I just after you've been speaking to that guy, that's cool with that.
Well, that's up to you guys.
I'll leave it to Steve.
Rob's the man making the call on it. So. I'm just a hired-hand interviewer.
No, I think it'd be rude, wouldn't it? I think we should leave it to the end.
Yeah.
I think at the end.
We'll leave it to the end, but thank you so much. That's so kind of you.
Okay.
So this is Michelle, and I've got Steve and Rob and Crystal on the line, and we're so happy that you could take the time to call in and join us for our first podcast. And without any further ado, Steve, why don't you go ahead and start the interview?
Yep. Hiya, Dave. Good to talk to you again.
How you doing? Are you okay?
Not so bad, not so bad. Yeah, for those who don't know, me and Dave grew up very near to each other, although we didn't know it at the time, and basically lived in the same town most of our lives. So, we know each other quite well. Dave's a busy man. Basically, he juggles bands like other people juggle oranges. His main band for many years has been Mr. So-and-so. He's also in recent years been playing with the Steve Rothery band. That's Steve Rothery from Marillion. And also, as of last year, joined Panic Room, which is the band that was formed by Anne-Marie Helder, also who used to be with Carnatica and is these days with Mostly Autumn. I think I've got all that right. You've been in the studio today with Panic Room, haven't you, Dave?
Well, it's not in Panic Room, funny enough. It's with Anne. Anne's with me now.
Oh, you're on as well. Great.
Welcome, Anne. Thank you for joining us.
Literally, it's 4:19 in the morning here. So hello.
Yeah, it's the same here as well.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I'm a vampire. I stay up all night. So.
We're kind of nocturnal here, okay?
Yeah, we've been in the studio today doing some work on my next solo album. So Anne's been over doing some vocals, some amazing vocals at that as well. So that sounds brilliant. Yeah, it really does.
I think the gig that I saw you doing with Panic Room last year in St Helens, that was one of your first gigs, wasn't it? I think you'd only been with them for about a week.
Yeah, it was a brilliant experience. The whole thing, how I became involved with Panic Room. It was a strange experience being asked to learn such a large body of work and then go into the studio and then play with some other songs that weren't in that live set and then kind of reintroduce them as something new. You know, it was a really cool thing.
Yeah, because of course when you did that tour, you just put out the the semi-acoustic album on your Essence, or you were about to put it out, or whatever. And the first set was a stripped back set of mostly acoustic versions of familiar songs, wasn't it? Before the full band set afterwards. That I thought that was very successful as an aperitif for the main set.
Thank you. No, it's thank you, and hi everyone. It's quite difficult to balance doing an acoustic set really when you're essentially a rock band. It's quite difficult to work out how to work that sort of set into the whole show. But I think we did the best balance we could really. I think we had about 40-minute acoustic little set. And it was, I think it worked really well, and it was quite sort of vibrant as well as being delicate in places. And then we had a short break, and then it was kind of rocking after that. So, but yeah, I think what Dave Foster, brought to the band, as well as the power in the electric set was a lot of vibrancy in the acoustic set as well. So, yeah.
What was cool about it was, what was cool about it was when you play the acoustic stuff, people generally, that everybody has this pet hate about people talking over songs when you go to a gig. There's always some guy in front of you who'll talk all the way through the gig. And it's this phenomenon when you do an acoustic set that people do generally kind of listen, and they're taking on board everything that's going on. So that was nice. And then you get the full rock thing, so you get both parts of the set. The first parts of the acoustic set were really, like Anne was saying, they were really intimate and really, really quiet in parts. And it was really nice when I'm introducing, like, Rain and Tears in Burgundy instead, and I can I'm playing. He's still there, sorry.
Sorry, I just had a problem with the mic there. It fell off his head. I mean, personally, I thought that your guitar work added to Panic Room, gave it a whole new dimension. And a lot of people I talked to thought the same thing. It was obvious at the time, even though you were kind of on probation, if you like. It was quite obvious you were going to become a full member, and I thought, that actual show, I reviewed it for Prog magazine at the time, and I thought it was probably the best Panic Room show I'd seen, to be honest.
Oh, wow.
Extremely good.
Thank you. I think, as you said yourself, I think it was quite obvious that Dave was going to be. It wasn't probation for us, actually. It was very much kind of. It was one of his first shows with us, but. I think it was very obvious from the time we started working together that it worked. So we're very proud that he's part of the band now, and
I was really chuffed out with that. It was because I was there to help out. There's the obvious connection to Yatin doing the Steve
Rothery band, yeah.
And I knew of the band, and I'd met them when they were all in Karnataka years ago. And when I was asked to do it, it didn't take me long. It's one of these things where you always hope that the gigs that you're going to get are going to be things that you enjoy playing. And I could see straight away listening to the stuff. I thought, I can sink my teeth into this. And I enjoy playing these. And when you see, a lot of people have said that we all look like we're enjoying ourselves, and it's because we are. You don't. If you try and fake that, it'll look like the weirdest thing you've ever seen. But it's genuine joy when you're playing the things on stage. Really like it.
Yeah, well, you're both in the situation where you're having to juggle different bands, because obviously we've talked about all your bands, Dave, but of course, Anne-Marie, you're still on and off in Mostly Autumn, just off at the moment, but it's a funny thing about Mostly Autumn, with the Mostly Autumn family, it's sort of like it's an arrangement unlike any other band where if somebody's busy or they've got something else on and can't make it, somebody else will come in, maybe that's been in the band before, and then they'll go out and you might come back in, and you know. That I mean, with Angela coming back in, Angela Gordon, who was you know, left 7 years ago. For anybody who doesn't know, you know, it was. I mean, that's great that she's come back in. It gives a sense of continuity, and obviously, I'm assuming that you're probably back in at some point. Are you happy with that arrangement, or?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, basically, what happened is about 7 or 8 years ago, I actually did a support for Most Yours, and I was playing support for them. I think Hammersmith Apollo in London, and I was just becoming really good friends with the band. And then Angela became pregnant with her first child.
That's right.
With Scarlett, and so very shortly afterwards, she decided to step back and have her child and become a mum full time. So that's why I actually stepped in and became a full-time member of the band, and I worked with them for probably about 5 or 6 years, sort of full-time. But now, what's happening at the moment is, realistically, my work with Planet Room is so involved, and it's really full-time. So I tend to be too busy with that to actually work with
Right.
So at the moment, they've got Angela back in, which is great.
Wow.
Fantastic to see her back into the fold. So, and her daughter now is like sort of 8 years old, which is great. So, but we're all very connected. We're all good friends, and we do very much sort of stay in touch with each other. But for me, really, my priority has always been and my own creative outlet.
So at the moment, she's back full time.
As far as I know,
yeah.
Working well. She'll be working with the band for the next sort of 6 months or more. So it's very it is quite a loose arrangement really. But as far as I know, she's going to be doing the next 6 months. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's really cool the way at some point you might do a couple of gigs. You know, you're free, they need you. You do a couple of gigs, and you know, it's once you're in the Most Autumn family, you're in, aren't you? It's really good the way it works.
Well, honestly, they are all good friends of mine, and obviously my boyfriend is one of them.
That's Andy. Yeah.
So so we were very connected, and there were lots of connections there, and that it will always be that way. So I think we'll always be good friends, whatever happens. But in terms of professional angles, really, my time is mostly sort of 95% taken up by the Panic Room. It really is.
Well, Panic Room are making strides now, aren't they? I think getting a little bit more profile, moving up that ladder. So it's important that you build on that, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's basically that's what takes most of my time up, and myself and the band. We spend so much time promoting ourselves. We just have to. It has to be the main focus. So.
Yeah. To go back to Dave, actually, obviously you've got more scheduling problems because you've got kind of 3 different projects. Is Mr. So-and-so a going concern again now?
It never stopped. Well, no, I'll rephrase that.
It stopped when you couldn't find a drummer.
Well, the funny thing is, So-and-so's it's a funny thing, So-and-so, because commercially it's never been a particularly successful thing. If I think about it, if I'm honest, it's the least successful thing I've ever been involved in musically, in terms of revenue, if you like, from what we do.
Yeah.
But it's always been rewarding. That I still listen to these albums. I had True Lies and Half Lies on in the car the other day, and I'm really proud of the stuff we've done. But I think the rest of the band knew. They could see what was looming, and the fact that I was busy working with Steve, and then I got the Panic Room thing, and then now my solo thing as well. And also I've been doing some studio work for different producers as well. So it got to the point where So-and-so couldn't really exist. It was illogical for me to just ditch the things that were doing a lot of good for me, if you like, and we've just put it in some kind of induced coma until such time we come back to it. It's not dead though. It's definitely not dead. I spoke to Sean over the New Year, Christmas and New Year, and we're all still mates. You know, I've known Sean for at least 1,000 years, and it's strange sometimes because I learned how to be a musician with Sean and with as well, and I do kind of miss being in a room with them. There will come a point where we do come back. We've been talking about perhaps doing a one-off gig this year, and it has, you know, that might happen. Possibly at the Citadel, to be honest. We've been thinking about it.
Is it true that Stu has decided to come back on drums should he be required? Well,
yes, he left when we did the last show. We made the announcement, and then we did the last show. I think it was at the Cambridge Fest. Yeah. And Stewie, we'd all kind of, there was a lot of things happening with everyone's personal lives, and it just got to the point where it was an extra stress for everybody. And it was Stewie was the first one. He was the one whose kind of pressure valve went and said, "Listen, I'm going to have to leave this." But we have all been in a room a couple of times since with our instruments, and Stewie was there. So if there is another so-and-so gig, Stewie will be on the kit.
Right, yeah, that's good. I think really one of the things that disillusioned you a bit was the lack of success of the Truth Lies and Half Lies album, wasn't it? Because that was such a strong album. And I remember we did a really long interview about it in your house. I think it went dark while we were talking about it. It was, and you know, a big feature about it, but it never really took off, did it? Which is,
well, you have to. Our expectations, you know, you manage your expectations with these things. It was done on a really nominal budget, you know, like even by, you know, there's a clutch of bands who are all doing albums for in the small thousands, which is try and do an album and get out and press the CDs for 2,000-3,000 quid is really hard, and it's normally what bands like us have got as a budget. So given that really narrow budget, and when we ended up with a product like Truth Lies and Half Lies, which also had this incredible artwork on the front of it as well, I knew it wouldn't do particularly. It was never going to be Dark Side of the Moon, but I was a bit surprised that it didn't. We couldn't get it in some of the bigger publications. You know, some of the bigger magazines didn't have time for us, and it was a shame because some of the people who were involved in these publications actually got back to me and said that they really liked the album. They've had it on. They liked pretty much everything that was on it.
And there's still time for it to get better.
Yeah.
It's a slow burner. Yeah.
It just never got the coverage, and you know, I spend quite a lot of time using social media, using particularly Facebook. And every time I repost something like Bipolar from Sugar Stealer, or I'll repost Apophis from the last album, and the positivity from it's enormous. And yet, you know, we didn't sell enough albums to recoup, I don't think, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think the plan is to play a Panic Room track now, so I'll do you want to do that now, Michelle? Do you want to go to that?
Yeah, that would be lovely. Do you want to say anything about the song before I play it?
Playing?
It's
Dark Star.
Dark Star that you got.
Dark Star. Oh, it's fantastic. Thank you so much for playing this song. And actually, it's a song which the band finds particularly challenging to play live. It's really heavy and it's great. We love playing it live, and I think it will probably be featured on the tour in the UK tour coming up in March, April, May.
Okay. Well, we'll go to the song now and maybe talk a bit about it when we come back.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, fantastic. So now we're going to play the song Dark Star by Panic Room. Here we go.
Dark
There we go. That was a great song.
Thank you.
Right. Yep. That of course was. Oh, we've got some edits here. Echoing now. Anybody else get echoing in the headphones?
No, I think it's just you. You're right on this one.
Fantastic. Okay. Alright, I'm now going to be talking against myself coming back in the headphones about... Oh no, it's gone alright now. I was getting myself coming back at myself about 2 seconds later, which is impossible to talk over. Right, more gremlins in the system, fantastic. That was of course from the Satellite album, which many people still think is your best album.
Thank you.
I think. I mean, the track Satellite itself was, I seem to recall, was voted Track of the Year at the CRS Awards a few years back.
Yes.
That's the Classic Rock Society, if anyone doesn't know.
Yes, it's one of the awards, it has, which is amazing, because when we first wrote the song, it was such a simple song really, and then it became something so much bigger than we expected, but it has become one of the biggest iconic songs.
It's magnificent live.
Thank you.
It's one of those where it builds, and on a good night it just seems to spiral up into the rafters and just keep going, and it gets everybody up there. It's a marvellous song, I think. I think it's superb. It's one that you can't get away without playing, isn't it? Really, it's a bit like your Stairway to Heaven or Paranoid, isn't it? You smoke on the water.
I guess
you've got to do Satellite, or they'll play it.
There are some shows when we don't play it, and then we do hear about it. So I think it's best that we do play it.
Yeah, a nice problem to have. But of course, we've got to talk a little bit about with Dave about the other thing you've got on, which is the Steve Rothery band, of course. Which is, I mean, that's a big thing for you, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's surreal sometimes, because I was talking to one of my friends over Christmas, and I have really vivid memories of watching Top of the Pops, wishing that I was in a band with Steve Rothery, watching Marillion. I remember watching Marillion doing, I think it was Sugar Mice on Top of the Pops, and I was mesmerised. I love Steve's playing, from I think the first album I heard was probably Fugazi. And so to end up going from that point to being his writing partner on his first solo album is I do get goosebumps thinking about it. It is really cool. And it's a joy working with Steve. He's an incredibly brilliant guy in every department, Steve. And everyone knows, because he's God, of course, but everyone knows he's a brilliant guitarist. But he's amazingly easy to work with as a writer as well. He's really open to ideas. It's one of the things where I always, everybody has these dreams that they can go and work with the likes, I don't know, for me, Peter Gabriel or somebody like that. And you wonder what they're going to be like if you're going to be collaborating with them. And Steve, it didn't feel like it wasn't hard work. Ghost of Pripyat was written, and I'm not kidding, was written about, in total, 6 hours. And it was just so easy. It was just so easy.
Yeah, of course, you're going to be playing at the CRS Awards in March.
Yeah.
That should be a cool evening.
Yeah, it's good because the English shows, we've done some really good English shows with the Steve Rothery band. I remember that we did a Band on the Wall in Manchester that was unbelievably good. It sticks in my mind, that. So I'm hoping that, these Northern English gigs, there's something about some of these venues, and I'm hoping the CRS are going to be somewhere anywhere near as loud as everybody was at the Band on the Wall.
But I think also personally, like as just a fan of the Rothery stuff, and I think really the music is so modern. It's kind of forward looking as well. That's what surprises me.
Oh, that's a nice thing to say.
No, it really is. It really is. It's incredibly fresh and original, and that's what, you know, when we go and see the guys playing, we're really proud because it's just something so different, and it really is genuinely innovative, and, you know, with what Dave's doing, but also Steve's ideas, you know, it's just, yeah, it's incredibly fresh and original, and, you know, it's what I want to be listening to right now. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Well, that's the pretext to you know, the kind of the mission of what we were doing. Steve said he wanted to make something that was an instrumental album that didn't sound like a shred fest. It didn't sound like...
It isn't,
yeah. And it's hard to do that, you know, because you have to... Steve, because of his phrasing and because of his musicality, he can carry a song along just as he's the voice.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It is really, you know, there are very few players who can do that. So, yeah.
That's a point I was going to make there. It's kind of like doing an instrumental that you can sing, if you like.
Yeah.
A bit like Sylvia by Focus, that's the classic example.
Oh, yeah.
Where you can just sing the guitar work, and that's the same kind of thing that I think Steve does in his work.
Well, that's one of his mantras, to be honest. It's kind of like he isn't happy if you can't sing something back, and he's dead right. He's absolutely spot on, because, you know, as guitarists, I know, and every guitar player, every rock guitarist knows that we all like playing stuff quick, because there's always that rock star in all of us. But it's having the foresight to realise that, you know, when you come back to playing this, you want somebody to be whistling parts. Like if you listen to a Queen track, you know, you listen to Bohemian, you watch non-musicians listening to Bohemian Rhapsody, and they all know the guitar solos. My dad knows the guitar solo to Bohemian Rhapsody, and that's really how things like that should be. They shouldn't just be about somebody musically spinning plates. They should be something that contributes something to the track. Yeah, that's right. You listen to an album by somebody, you know, I don't know, Ingrid Malmsteen or something like that, and you know, sometimes your jaw drops at the playing, but at the end of it, you can't remember any of it. Well, you know, yeah, you're right, and he's an amazing player. All of these players, like, you know, there's a new breed of them that are coming out, which are great players, and some of them are musical as well. But if you look back traditionally at what some of the instrumental albums were, and even some of my favourite instrumental albums, like I love some of the Vice stuff, but I can't sing any of it back.
No.
I like it because I'm a guitarist, but I can't whistle it.
That's it. Yeah. So anything else that we want to, before we've probably got about 2 or 3 minutes now, anything else you want to talk about, the upcoming plans for Panic Room, new material, that sort of thing?
Okay, so, well, we are out on the road in March and April, May, June, so we'll have some live shows. The first show we're playing is in March at the Milton Keynes Stables. So we're doing some British shows in the spring, and then we should be recording a show in the summer.
Yeah.
I haven't mentioned it yet.
Yeah, I'm learning about this.
We're intending to actually film a live DVD in June. So that's cool, and then later in the year we'll be actually recording our first full album with Dave.
With the Dave.
Yeah, with the Dave. Yeah. So it's actually going to be. Well, I think I would call it Panic Room 5. It'd be our 5th album, proper album. We did have Essence, which we released a few months ago, but it was kind of an acoustic album. So yeah. So yeah. There's a lot going on in the next 6 months, basically.
Superb. That sounds good. I think we've got about 10 minutes. Is that about the right time, Rob, for wrapping up and playing the other track that you've got lined up?
Don't know. Which track it? That sounds quite long, for sure.
No, it's an IQ track, so it's gonna.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
the
song's not 10 minutes, but
so we have to go. Yeah.
The song's not 10 minutes long, but we have very finite amount of time on the radio stream here, and we just want to make sure that we can give a proper closeout to the show. I wish we could talk to you guys for longer. You guys have been fantastic.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to hear from you. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you, and from Rob and Crystal and Steve and myself, Michelle, thank you guys. Wish you really great success this year. Sounds like you have some amazing things happening.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I look forward to seeing you again at the awards, Dave. And you, Anne-Marie, as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Good night. Thank you.
See you. Bye.
All right, cheers.
Good night. Thank you. Okay, so Rob?
Yeah.
Did you want Crystal to do the review, or should I just play the song because we're running short on time?
Crystal's still there. She's not falling asleep.
What's that?
Is Crystal
I can't hear you, Rob.
She's not falling asleep.
You're whispering, Rob.
Is Crystal still there? She's not falling asleep.
I'm right here.
It's early here, Rob.
Yeah. Anyway, like you didn't do the review. You didn't do the IQ review.
No, I didn't do an IQ review.
No, which album was that?
Yeah, if you want to. That's the new album.
Well, honestly, I don't have it in front of me. My 19-year-old son typed it. So, but I did really enjoy it. I love it's very melodic, and I love that it is. You guys mentioned earlier the storytelling. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. I think, Rob, it's a good idea if you give us some thoughts on that, because you're the arch IQ fan, and how do you feel that Road of Bones fits into their work? I haven't heard it all, but what I've heard of it sounds quite heavy.
Yeah, it is.
Kicks off with a really heavy track, then you get into the title track and it slows down a bit. Then it really kicks in later into the track. Next track is pretty Genesis in style. It's like, I'd say, around about cute kind of era, Genesis. For me though, the greatest track on the album is on the special edition on the second disc, which is Constellations. And you see a lot of people on Facebook, Constellations is the track on the album. But
off the regular
that's only on the second disc, not on the regular album.
Crazy. Yeah.
You've heard Constellations, but to me that's one of the great tracks, IQ tracks of many a year.
Yeah. Well, to put you on the spot, Rob, what's your favourite IQ album?
Oh, that's easy to say, Ever.
That's what?
Ever is so. It's easy to say Ever because that was at a point in my life where I was living in a very nice situation. And that album was a recent album at the time, and it just fitted in with my life perfectly at that time. And it's that album. It's kind of IQ album. I think it's the IQ album that gels from start to finish.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's absolutely.
Yeah, it's a strong album. Yeah, I think if I had to vote, I think I would possibly go for Dark Matter. I think that's a fantastic album.
Yeah.
I wish we had more time, you guys, but
24 minutes.
Robert, I don't have much time left to play the song, so I think we should just go right into it.
I think we should go into it now, yeah.
So this is for Christ's sake.
I just want to say before we do that it wasn't contrived. That what I was trying to say is we played the Palace and it was a wedge into which Steve will know what I mean by that.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to play For Crystal's Sake. For Crystal's Sake is the new name for Christ's Sake. For the festive season and for Crystal, our co-host. Here we go, everybody. Okay, this is the end of our first ever podcast for Grog and Prog. I want to thank so much Rob for coming up with the concept and putting all of the producing work together, and Steve and Crystal for your amazing contributions to the show. I wish we had longer, but unfortunately the clock is ticking down, so thank you very much. I'm going to play our out theme. Here we go.
We'll do it again in Easter. Thank you.
Yes, we're going to try to do this again at Easter time. And sorry that we're getting played out here. We're running out of time, but yes, we're going to do another podcast at Easter time. Thank you for joining us.